Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Clean water is one of our most valuable resources. Conserving it should be all of our responsibility. Remember every day to make every drop count. Wash full loads, take shorter showers, turn off your faucet. Water, use it wisely. Let's commit to conserve.
and by SciComm Technologies, celebrating 20 years in IT. SciComm is dedicated to helping customers stay on top of the tech wave, whatever comes next. Online at scicommtech.com. Today on this edition of Flying Squirrels Insider, Jay Burnham and Greg Caserta cover the first few weeks of the season, who's off to a good start, and who to look for at the Diamond. Squirrels reliever and Notre Dame product Dan Slania stops by the studio to discuss how he has evolved into a solid back-of-the-bullpen option for Miguel Ojeda. Also, a special moment was shared at the Diamond on the first homestand, and we bring that to you. All that, and we check in with Jay Burnham on the road in Altoona. It's Flying Squirrels Insider, and it starts now.
Welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. We've got an action-packed show for you this week. I'm your host, Jay Burnham. The Flying Squirrels are back in town this weekend, and we'll break down the start to the 2016 season. But first, Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond's Department of Public Utilities reminds us about Richmond's natural gas safety program. Getting ready to install a fence or put an addition onto your house? Contractors, homeowners, and do-it-yourselfers call 811 before you dig. And also, throughout the show, as always, you can text FSI to 63975. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase necessary. Mobile marketing services provided by Opt-in Technologies. With that said, I'll bring in my broadcast partner here to my left, Greg Caserta. And Greg, the most recent road trip, the first 7-game road trip of the season for the Flying Squirrels, finished 3 wins, 4 losses. But it looked like the offense came alive in Bowie.
It started humming a little bit, and what's encouraging is that you played divisional opponents, teams that you're going to see quite a bit throughout the course of the season. And what I was looking at with those 3 wins is how are you winning these types of ball games? First day of the road trip in Altoona, you get a well-pitched game from Chase Johnson, you get good bullpen work, and you wind up winning that game 5-1. Then in Bowie, you're getting the offense that's starting to click. You get those 16 hits in Game 1. Game 2, you had to come back with Alberto Mejia leaving that game in the first inning, and your bullpen gives you more than 8 innings, allowing just 1 hit during that time. So you're winning ball games in different ways, and that's essential during the course of a very long season.
The offense in that Bowie series, 4 hits in 1 game for Ali Castillo, who's seeing a little bit of playing time due to an injury to Austin Slater, and then Tyler Horan having an outstanding road trip as well, having a home run and 3 hits on Monday in Bowie. But getting it all started at the top of that lineup once again this year is Rando Moreno.
Rando's been spectacular, and you kind of know what to expect from him at this point. For a while there, 2 hits was the norm for Rando, who just continues to get on base. It's not always pretty, it's not always solid contact, but he continues to find the holes, and he's doing exactly what he did last season, this time around for Miguel Ojeda, while playing a pretty good defensive second base.
Moreno had a bunt double in Game 2 from Bowie. He bunted the ball over the first baseman's head down the right field line for a 2-bagger. The question for him is, he kind of came out of nowhere last year. Here he is hitting at the top of the lineup once again. The Giants up in San Francisco have some injuries, or had some injuries to middle infielders in particular. When do we see Rando Moreno get the call to AAA? That's
a great question, and it's tough to say because you don't know where he would fit in at AAA Sacramento. And I think that if anybody would get the call up from the position players with this current group, it would be Rando because of the flexibility that he provides, being able to play multiple positions around the infield. So I think it is a matter of time if he continues to hit like this. And if the possibility opens up where there is another opening in Sacramento, then you'd probably see Rando get his first call.
And certainly we would welcome that. The Squirrels have quality back up there, and Ali Castillo is certainly starting to turn it on. We talked last time about the left side of the infield, Christian Arroyo, 20 years old. Over at third is Ryder Jones. But another youngster, a guy that's familiar to Richmonders, is the catcher Matt Wynn. And Wynn sort of broke out on that last road trip with a couple of home runs, showing his power, huh?
Yes, showing a lot of power, and something that I don't know if we anticipated or thought about. Last year, very few games in his rookie season. He only hit 2 home runs, I believe, as a rookie. And then he hits home runs in back-to-back games against the Bay Sox. So What you're seeing now is comfortable. You're seeing the ability to drive the ball, which is something that this lineup is going to need, especially on the road, because you know about how the power numbers for the entire group are pretty capped playing at the Diamond, which is traditionally very pitcher friendly as opposed to hitter friendly.
Speaking of power, Squirrels ending things with a bang on the last homestand, an Education Day game, a 10:35 start time. Game went into extra innings, and who but Ricky Oropesa ending that contest with one swing of the bat. The Squirrels have been exciting late inning contests.
And you and I have talked about it during the broadcast. Their most successful inning so far this season has been the 8th inning. Now, the 9th inning, not so much, but the 8th inning is where the Squirrels tend to save a lot of their offense. And in the case of Ricky's game-winning home run, it came in the 11th. And it was a no-doubter, clearing the second tier of fencing in right center. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun for Oropesa, and he kind of took out a little bit of frustration after being in a slump on that baseball. Now, you mentioned the bullpen, which we'll elaborate on in a moment, but the rotation, which we talked about on the first show, thinking that it would be the real core of this team, had some ups and downs in the first 3 turns through the rotation. But what we saw coming into that Bowie series and now heading into the weekend and beyond at the Diamond as the season turns to May is guys starting to throw 90 pitches, 95, and soon we'll hit that 100 mark, and that bodes well for everybody. But in particular, these guys getting an opportunity to pitch deeper into games.
Right, and we talked about the 6-man rotation during the first month of the season, the challenges that lay ahead because of that, and it takes pressure off the bullpen, which had been worked quite a bit because of the pitch count, because of the innings limit that they're looking for at this point of the season. So it does help that you're starting to stretch these starters out a little bit more, and you've seen growth from your starters, starting at the top with Tyler Beatty. Adalberto Mejia did have that tough start in Bowie, but for his first 3 appearances was really strong. And Yohan Gregorio continues to impress in the middle of the rotation, which is a really good sign.
Yeah, we talked with pitching coach Steve Klein about Gregorio. This is a guy, one of several on the team that's on the 40-man roster. And when you're on that 40-man roster, you're one phone call away from not only going to AAA, but to the big leagues. And we've seen it happen over the past couple of years, guys getting plucked right from Richmond to San Francisco. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Gregorio, but Klein saying essentially if he continues to do what he's been doing, and he's been one of the most solid, reliable arms in that rotation for the Flying Squirrels, well, Gregorio might not be long for this level. So the rotation, at times, we've seen some hit and misses. There was a contest in Bowie where Adalberto Mejia, who had been one of the most reliable pitchers in the rotation, couldn't get out of the first inning, but the bullpen was there to pick him up.
Jose Casilla goes 3 1/3 innings, his longest appearance since June of 2014. He gives you 3 1/3 innings, allows 1 hit in the first, but nothing after that. And I think the most pleasant surprise was Pedro Rodriguez, who suddenly is throwing the ball 95, 96. I don't know if that velocity was there to that extent last season, but if you have those 2 guys that can pitch middle relief and occasionally give you some long innings, that really helps out the back end with guys like Dan Slania, Jake Smith, and Ray Black.
Excited to have Slania join us here, the Notre Dame product. He'll be on set with us in a little bit. He has been phenomenal for the Squirrels coming out of the bullpen. Now, we've been talking a lot about how much growth and success these guys have had. It hasn't really translated to wins on the field, 8-13 at the outset. But when you put that bullpen and stack it together, Dan Slania, Ray Black, who throws 100-plus miles an hour coming out of the pen, Jake Smith, it feels like the pieces are there for manager Miguel Ojeda.
And it's something you and I have talked about quite a bit since day one. I go back to the first episode of Flying Squirrels Insider when this guy right here said no 15-game losing streak in April. So far that premonition has come true, but through the first 3 weeks, you're looking at an 8-13 record. It's one that you would like to see improve, but it could start right now with this 7-game homestand, although with Hartford coming to town, that makes things a little more challenging.
Squirrels have faced some very difficult opponents. Hartford leading the world, and their record at the outset for the first year in franchise history for the Yard Goats. Squirrels saw a loaded Reading team with a lot of top prospects, and then a very experienced Bowie team. So you feel like there is more wins than losses on the horizon, but we can't talk about the bullpen without talking about a guy who literally is under the radar, to use a pun, a guy who throws from a very low sidearm delivery, Tyler Rogers. Rogers, through his first 10 games, not allowing an earned run.
It looks painful and it looks uncomfortable. He comes from down low, almost scrapes the mound when he fires to the plate. And we talked about his start in Richmond last year, not the one he wanted to get off to in his first 10 appearances. This year he's been unhittable, and he's shown some power stuff. He's got that swing and miss ability, which is something that you don't often see from a sidearmer. You're thinking more soft contact, but with Tyler's case, he's getting a lot of strikeouts.
He is, and he just seems like a guy that comes in what Miguel Ojeda and the Giants are looking for Rogers, and he has delivered, is coming in very ugly situations. Guys on first and second, 1 out. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And Rogers has been able to strand those runners. And as a starting pitcher, when you leave the game and you leave runners on base, you want a guy like Rogers coming in because he's going to not only keep the game intact for you, but maybe save your ERA as well.
It's a thankless job coming in those inherited runner situations. It's a stat now that a lot of people look at when you're evaluating relievers. And in Rogers' case, it's something that he's getting quite used to because he did it a lot in San Jose a year ago. And as you said, not only are you bailing out your team, but you're also bailing the guy that you're coming in for, saving that ERA and helping him out in the long run.
A little bit of shuffle out of spring training. We had anticipated hitting coach Kenny Joyce coming back as a member of this organization for his 6th season. Joyce leaving the organization. The Giants then bringing in Mike Goff, who will act as the hitting coach for the season. And Goffy, as he's known, is a pleasant guy to be around. He was in the big leagues last year with the Marlins. How do you feel Goffy, Klein, and new manager Miguel Ojeda have fared the first month?
So you talk about Goffy and Kleiner and Miggy. You see what baseball players do. A lot of nicknames. We'll come up with one for you at some point. But I think they've done a good job. I think that Miguel Ojeda had a challenge in front of him, one that we outlined several weeks ago, because he's starting his first gig as an affiliated manager, coming up from the Diablos Rojos in the Mexican League, and I think that he's relying on the two of them to kind of help him through this first month of the season. And I think he's done a good job given the pieces that are there, and I think it'll only continue to improve as they get more acclimated with one another, especially for Goffy, who joined the team a couple of weeks into the season.
Sounds good, Greg. Hopefully better weather on the horizon, and as the season turns to May, we'll look for some more wins. Thanks, buddy.
You got it.
All right, coming up next here on Flying Squirrels Insider, you've seen the popular pick-a-box promotion on the field at the Diamond. Well, on the first homestand for the Flying Squirrels, we had a special contestant who initially picked the wrong box, but ended up being the real winner on the night.
What else was in these boxes? What's in the blue box? Could have had a Flying Squirrels cup. How about we check out what's in the red box? Ladies and gentlemen, please join us and the Champagne family in welcoming back United States Air Force Tactical Sergeant Rob Champagne. He was deployed
A lifelong memory made at the Diamond, and our thanks for everybody for putting that into place. We're here on FSI Field with our guest today, reliever Dan Slania. And Dan, thanks for being here today. You were down in the bullpen at that special moment. What did you guys see?
Yeah, it was definitely a special moment. And I know a lot of guys in the bullpen have a huge respect for a lot of the military. And being able to be a part of that, even if it's in the bullpen where you're kind of far away from the action, it's always fun to see.
We're going to talk about your start to the season, a little bit about your career path winding through Notre Dame and now being up here for the Flying Squirrels. We saw you in 2014 at the end of the season. Now you're starting the year with the Flying Squirrels in the bullpen. How you feeling? You've been out there just throwing darts, my man.
It's been fun. I've had a lot of fun this year. It's nice to be back with Coach Klein. But, yeah, the season's been starting out well. Our entire bullpen has been doing really well, whether it's Ray Black throwing 104, whatever it is now, and to Rogers, I don't think he's given up an earned run yet or something like that. But yeah, it's been just a fun bullpen ride so far.
And we talked about it earlier, Greg and I, that this is going to be one of the strengths of this team. And Black is the headline, of course, but Slania, the undercard, pretty darn good. We're going to get a look at your split finger fastball, which seems to be the real solid out pitch. Can you tell us about how that pitch came about for you?
Yeah, it actually, when I was up here in 2012 or 2014, and Grimsley taught it to me. It was kind of one of those pitches that I didn't really have a true out pitch. I was a fastball, changeup, slider, curveball guy, and they were all decent pitches, but I didn't have that one out pitch that I could get out. And so when Grimsley kind of taught me, and I remember, I think we were in New Hampshire, and I was throwing a bullpen to Latore, and I just threw one and it just dropped straight down. And Latore kind of caught it and looked at me strangely and was like, okay, yeah, this might be a good pitch to work with now.
That is the pitch, absolutely. And we're going to learn how you throw that in a second. I want to talk about your journey to being with the San Francisco Giants. You grew up in Arizona. You attended Notre Dame. That seemed like pretty much a no-brainer to you, after being drafted by the Red Sox out of high school.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough kind of time and questioning for me, because like when I got drafted out of high school, I was like, this is huge. It's something that not many people in my high school had done, but it was Notre Dame. It's still that name, and it was a school that I always wanted to go to since I was a young kid, and being able to live out my dream and be at Notre Dame was just unbelievable for me.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you. You're the all-time saves leader at Notre Dame. You have the lowest ERA of anybody that's ever played at Notre Dame, and that includes current Giants pitcher Jeff Samardzija. And you had a game where you threw out of the bullpen 140 pitches. Take us through that 16-inning game you played against South Florida.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Definitely not expecting that when you wake up in the morning, but it kind of just came in the 8th inning, guy on second base, gave up a single, tied the game up, and just kind of rode it out from there. Didn't really think too much about it until after, when I was talking to our pitching coach, Chuck Ristano, but it was one of those, like, I didn't want to be taken out of the game. I wanted to see how far I could take it. I wanted to make sure I did everything I could to help Notre Dame get that win. And it ended up being 9 innings, 145 pitches or 140 pitches, whatever it was. But it was a good game. It was a tiring game, but it was fun.
I think it ended in a loss, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it did. Yeah.
Just a few more for you here before we kick out these chairs and go through some motions for you. You have been an avid reader on the road trips. I think you burned through a John Grisham novel out of the gates.
Yeah, I did.
But I think I saw last night that your mom sent you a care package.
She did.
You've got a bunch of books on the way.
Yeah, she did. I didn't really come back late last night. I didn't really get to really look too much at them, but I saw there was a couple Grisham books in there, so I'm excited to start knocking those out again, and it'll be good for the road trip, good for at home. So.
Sounds good. Hey, last one for you here. Do people always ask you, hey, you should play football because of your size?
Yes, they do. Actually, when the bus was here the other day, he was like, if I had you as an offensive lineman, I'd still be playing. So I'm like, all right, here we go.
All right, Dan, thanks for being here. We'll get on this field here in a second.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Dan Slaney will show us how he throws his pitches. The bus being Jerome Bettis, by the way. Now here's this.
Coffee. Tastes great, smells great, brings people together. For the first time on Flying Squirrels Insider, we bring you a brand new segment called Burnham's Morning Brew. Jay caught up with Squirrels outfielder Austin Slater, and they talked over a couple of cups.
Eggs, always scrambled because I don't know how to make any other type of eggs. I actually got the notification a couple days ago. You have officially used up 75% of your data. Recently, we've been playing a lot of spades and a lot of pluck.
Okay. Any pitch mixed in there?
No pitch, no pitch. Probably Miles Schroeder. Yeah. You know, obviously I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I don't get hit, but
You'd probably double to the gap though, right?
I don't know. Ray's going to see this. With San Francisco being 3 hours behind us, they're usually just starting their games when we come off, so they turn on the Giants game and guys will stay and watch some of that, you know, a couple innings of that.
Okay, we're here on FSI Field. I've got Dan Slania. He's going to show us how he throws some of his pitches. And Dan, let's start with the fastball, if you don't mind.
Pretty typical four-seam fastball. Got the horseshoe pointing in towards you, and you just kind of let it go. Make sure you reach out in front.
And then the slider.
Sliders, a little bit of a half spin, quarter spin. Fingers right on that outside seam. Thumb on the bottom one, and reach out.
And now your
now
prime
the split.
pitch.
The split, yeah. So got the horseshoe pointing away from you. Put one finger right there, the other finger as far as you could on the other side. Thumb on that bottom seam. Once again, it's all reaching out.
And that motion or that state comes natural to you.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I can hold it for however long I need to.
And some guys, when they practice this pitch, they have to really shove the baseball in there.
Yeah, they do.
And keep it there for a while. Right?
Yeah, that's not really a problem for me. It's pretty easy for me to.
Big fella can spread those fingers wide.
Yeah.
We're going to see Dan throw that pitch and the drop that it has coming into a hitter. How do you actually throw the ball? Is it the same as throwing the fastball?
Yeah, so actually on a mound, I set up on the third base side over here. And for me, anytime I'm throwing a pitch, that's just big thing is reaching out in front.
Okay.
So with the split, I already start with the split in my hand, come set, and reaching out here, it's just reaching out this way and trying to pull it straight down.
So what gives it the actual drop then? We don't know.
I really couldn't tell you that. I just know
the lack of movement, probably.
Yeah. So my throwing partner Ray will actually probably kill me at some point because I beat him up with balls all the time. But it's one of those things. He says it kind of looks like a knuckleball coming in, and it moves back and forth. Then all of a sudden, it just drops straight down.
And he's your throwing partner, so he's throwing one right back at you at about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I've gotten thumbed a couple times, and it hurts, but you know it's fun. We've been throwing partners since our time in Augusta.
That's good, and it seems like the team has kind of come through the ranks with the Giants organization. There's a lot of camaraderie there.
We really have.
Sounds good. Well, let's see you. We're going to have you actually throw that pitch and see how it drops coming into a hitter. I've conscripted Greg Caserta to catch a few pitches from Dan Slania. Now, keep in mind, these are coming in at a fraction of the speed of what Dan would throw in a real game. First, we'll take a look at that fastball. Nice. Then, he'll throw a little bit of a slider that moves away from a hitter. Not too shabby. And then, we've got ourselves the split finger pitch. All right. That's the out pitch for Dan Slania. Our thanks to Greg Caserta and Dan for joining us here on FSI Field. More to come. You're going to see what it looks like when there's a roller coaster over the right field wall. On the road with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Squirrels were out of town last week to Altoona, Pennsylvania and Bowie, Maryland. And I'm standing here over the left field wall of beautiful People's Natural Gas Field in Altoona. As you look out over here, there's bleacher seats that extend beyond the left field wall. In front of me is a grassy berm that stretches up to the top of the stadium. You can hang out there throughout the game, play catch, have a picnic, watch the game, or heckle the left fielder if you choose to do so. Now, this ballpark primarily known for having the roller coaster over the right field wall, but it has so much more to offer, and we wanted to give you a little peek. All right, I'm here with Trey Wilson. He's the voice of the Altoona Curve, and we got ourselves a couple of Curve burgers. And Trey, no frills here. What is the secret to the Curve burger?
It's all in the meat. It's all in the meat. The beef on these burgers, it's local. It's a special kind. We go out of the way to find this beef for these burgers. Glenn McComas, our director of concessions here, does. And that's really all it is. And it's still, the whole point is that you can get a high quality premium burger here for very cheap. It's only $8.50 to get this in the bag of chips. For a ballpark and for anywhere, that's a great deal.
Man, I'm excited. You want to try it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh yeah. That's good stuff. That is a good burger.
Well, that'll do it for another episode here at FSI. Next time you're at the park, Make your way down to the bullpen bar, grab a refreshment, and watch our guest today, Dan Slania, warm up in the bullpen. Don't mind the Squirrels' slow start to the season. We do promise there are many more Squirrels victories on the horizon. Until next time, when we get Wes McElroy back, for Greg Caserta, I'm Jay Burnham saying so long, everybody.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Smell gas? Act fast. Don't just stand there. Leave the area. Get out. Go where the smell is no longer present and call 911. Making you aware, keeping you safe. We're Richmond's Natural Gas Safety Awareness Program.
and by SciComm Technologies, celebrating 20 years in IT. SciComm is dedicated to helping customers stay on top of the tech wave, whatever comes next. Online at scicommtech.com.